Many blessings from this beautiful sunshine on my skin right now. Oof, so delicious. So this talk today um, was ignited from an earlier conversation I had with someone. And these conversations are about sacred divinity, allowing ourselves to come back to the sacredness of who we are, to remember our significance and to remember the purpose of why we are here. So I'm hoping that in this conversation, there is resonance, there is enlightenment, there is inspiration. I speak that forwards. Um, I speak gratitude that it's going to help your life moving forwards, and it's going to create more peace and joy. It's going to create a society that honors and respects the divine more than we are right now. So I am a 35-year-old single woman, right? And I'm questionable in society. It's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, you should be asking what's right with me first and foremost. you know, I know my purpose. Okay. So as a generational curse breaker, my purpose is to break the curse. So I've come to bring blessings instead. So I'm sharing the medicine um, with you uh, so that it can just assist you with where you are at as well. Okay, so I am very attentive. I love to go slow, like just very slow, like because there is no rush. The world would make you believe that there's something to rush to, but then when you tap with spirit and you have conversations with God, you'll understand that God just wants you to understand how magnificent you are and your beauty. Like, take time. I'm taken to this moment where, in movies or in fast scenes where people feel alive and there's this thrill, like that moment. Those moments are slow on purpose because it's that moment where you remembered who you are and where you remembered unconditional love for what it is. You felt alive again. Okay. So everything has a purpose with what I'm saying, of course, right? So we have to understand there's many different realms that we can be speaking from with this conversation, and you're going to take whatever you need to. I am speaking from the fact that as a generational curse breaker, you'll understand that you are spirit having a human experience. The world would have you believe that you are human having a spiritual experience. That's part of life. And if you believe that you are spirit having a human experience, they took out the E in human. Hue means light. If you see the sunshine on my face, on one side you can see more light than you see. It's a little bit darker here, right? It's the emission of hue. Now, what does that mean? If you look at the scale of unconditional love, it is on a scale between fear, and then the highest vibration of that is peace and joy. When we go down into fear, it becomes more conditional because this is where the human is vibrating at. Because you, as the human, have been conditioned to believe that you're a human having a spiritual experience. So anything of spirit needs to be cancelled, right? But it's all for a purpose. Now, you must understand that you chose on a sacred contract level. Everyone was purposed to help you your reawaken you to your light. Okay. In that notion, in awakening to that light, you were going to know who you are through who you are not. That's why there's fear on the lowest vibration and then joy and peace. You are here to alchemize and learn alchemy and understand and uncover the God within you. That's why it says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, the kingdom of God within. Seek it first before. It doesn't say the humans of God or the hume God, hudom of God. It says the kingdom of God, realizing that you are king and you are a queen. Okay. Um, so human being, that was your purpose. A human being. Being means a state. It's a state, it's a frequency. It's a collective vibration that taps into the frequency of the emotion that we can collectively call as sad, happy, content, bored. Do you get it? So, you have come to understand who you are through who you are not. Because you are starting from high spiritual experience, you tap into earth, you immediately go into the lowest level, right? To understand how to alchemize and tap back into the highest vibration. The thing is, if you didn't understand that and you got caught up in the story of religion, government, the financial institutions, the schooling system, the family unit, then you would still be stuck in the low vibrational point of saying that you are human having a spiritual experience. So anyone who speaks about that you are a God, you are living as God through you, some of you will go, this is not for me. And then some of you will go, yeah, yeah, sure, I understand that. Great. Sharp, we can continue. Let's go. Okay. So in the Matrix, when Neo is talking to the Oracle and she is giving him the candy, there's this conversation too where he goes, but you already know that I'm going to take it. And then she goes, well, then I wouldn't be an Oracle if that was the case, you know? Anyways, she basically at the end goes, you didn't come here to make a choice. You came here to understand why you made it. Like, why did you come here? You have a unique set of tools within you and unique medicine within you that you need to come share with us. So, in your own way, as a generational curse breaker, you are a natural born leader, but you would be seen as the problem child in the family because you are here to lead versus to follow. Because when we came here, we forgot, and it was all purpose. We forgot. And then as you remember, you start to see fragments of your life. You start to question. And when you question, you realize the truth sometimes can be a very hard pill to swallow. But the more you learn and learn and learn and learn and learn, then it becomes easier. Okay. So if your human and spirit relationship is misaligned, if you are worshiping a God outside of yourself, then you will mostly not feel aligned to yourself. And if you are not aligned to yourself, everything in your life is not aligned. Because you would say it's perfect and it's the dream that you wanted to have, but something's missing, right? Something's missing in the story that was planned for you, whether it was Cinderella, whether it was Rapunzel, whether it was Peter Pan, whether it was Prince Charming for you. What a lot of these Disney movies showed us was that there's always a woman to save and there's always a man to save you. So then we romance the pain from the truth that we discover over time, that what we feel, what we thought was real isn't real. So we romanticize it. A lot of you might have grown up in that era of Bold and the Beautiful, days of our lives. In every single movie, there was always And then they lived happily ever after. But no one talks about what is the happily ever after. What happens in the end when you've dated, you've coerced each other to loop into your web, and then what happens in that web? What happens in that web is that you get dropped into deeply the truth from the illusion, because when you are with someone, what you are actually doing is you are creating a potential family. Okay. And if you're creating a potential family, that means you are moving into an existing family with its own leadership. Now, if you and your partner aren't aligned within the leadership of God, then it just won't work out. If you are aligned to a God outside of yourself and not understanding the God within, then you're bringing generational curses. You are here to break the wounds, break the patterns, completely disrupt the system, right? Disrupt the system, disrupt it, because we need to shake things up a little bit now, okay? And things are and have been shaken up a little bit, which is good. So allow. So I've been speaking a lot about like family lately, because a lot of relationships that we have with the rise of situationships is due to the family that is based on assumption. Okay. So if you are following a God outside of yourself, that means you would be led to chaos, because when your family or your parents were, or your guardians were raising you, I don't know what the other word would be, they would say something but often do something else. The first 7 years, you're like a sponge. You can't articulate fully what your parent is saying when they're guiding you. All you are tapping to are the actions through their emotions. So if their tone is one of fear, that's what you're going to interpret that as fear. So what you are living out is what was modeled through you from your family. Family has a lot of assumption, okay? Family relationships are based off a lot of assumption of the roles. They were never discussed, they were assumed and often dictated to. So that's why I said that the generational curse breaker becomes a problem, because you are here to break the curses, but you're seen as a problem because the low vibrational energies need those curses to continue. Okay. They feed off it. So it helps. And then what came out is assumption breeds chaos in a chaotic home or relationship or inner world. And assumption provides empathy in an orderly home, and in an orderly home in your body, not only in your body, but also physically. So I'll say that again. Assumption breeds chaos in a chaotic home or relationship. An assumption provides empathy in an orderly home. Now, what does that mean? When you assume, but it's based off of chaos, if you were modeled if you modeled something that was different to what is said, that is chaos, because it is not aligned already, right? So it will provide more chaos to assume, because you're assuming based off of confusion anyways. You can't assume the correct thing because it hasn't been agreed upon. In a healed space, assumption provides empathy in an orderly home. Why is that the case? Because empathy, you can feel, we're always feeling on others' behalf, anyways. But if you're feeling anger, then you're also going to feel anger. Okay. So it feels like I'm saying so much, and there's so much that is still downloading from this message too. I'm feeling a little bit like, ooh, ooh. Okay, so here's the thing with empathy and the relationship at the home and stuff like that, your parent will never feel that they have done enough. Thus, you will never feel that you are good enough. And remember, your parent is also the child living out their childhood traumas on you. So that's why what they said versus what they do is not a match. And that's why you might find yourself in confusion and in assumption land, because you're assuming on someone's behalf and you feeling their feelings of low vibrational energy, right? That's why when you do good for them, they can't appreciate it because that's not the love that they received growing up. So the system is not necessarily rigged, but it's rigged. On one plane, it's not rigged, but it's rigged. Because what did I say in the beginning? I said that you have come to understand who you are through the experience of who you are not. Not particularly in those words, but I said that kind of. Okay. I feel like I'm a school teacher now with this piece of paper and it's wind is blowing. Yeah, you are basically distracted from the God within. If you see a child, a lot of children space out. A lot of children will go from one energy and then start feeling like they need to move into the next thing because something else is calling them through expression to play, right? And then we call it bipolar, we call it ADHD, we call it all these things, and then we start medicating kids young at school. Then already within the system, what I was trying to get at, but Spirit took me in another direction for people who needed to hear this, is that because your relationship is not agreed upon, because of the chaos through the assumption of what your head is saying versus what your heart is saying, what was said in the home versus what is modeled in the home, confusion everywhere. What was I saying with that one? The system is rigged because if you look at the schooling system now, your child will go to school from like 7:30, let's say 7:30 to 1, but work is 9 to 5, right? So now you send your child to school, you at work, you pick them up after school, so they obviously need extramural activities. After 5 p.m., you are drained from doing something that is not fully aligned to you, unless you feel energized from your work, great. And then you still have to do dinner. You still have to just find some form of restoration. You still have to also spend time with your partner and your child. And then you got to go do it all over again. And then find enough rest and peace of mind in between that. So it's rigged in a way that is not here to support you, yet it also is, because you are here to understand who you are through who you are not. So, in support of relationships more than anything, you have to understand the God within you. It is coming to that point where there is no other way. No matter what you ask anyone, you have to get to know the God inside of you. You have to not follow a man who's saying something that God hasn't spoken to you. Because, like I said, what is said versus what is modeled needs to align. We need to start having more people and leaders who walk their talk. A lot of our leadership is just monkey see, monkey do. What they're saying versus what they do is not the same. And that's why these systems need to crumble. And that's why the system has already crumbled. And some people aren't going to take too kindly to it. And some people are going to be like, oh man, it's going to be amazing. So, depending on the work that you've been doing internally and understanding the God that you are, then it's going to propel you forward, or it's going to feel like it's suppressing you. And I just only hope that as a generational curse breaker, you are at this point where you are going to be propelled upwards. Okay. And if you're needing assistance with that, then book your consultation with me, because we need more leaders who understand the God within them. you know. And when you understand the God within you, you're so peaceful. You mind your own business. You don't need to control anyone because you're creating. Imagine a world of creation versus overconsumption, because now we're out of balance. We over consuming what we actually need. I don't know where this talk was going, but it will feed where it needs to feed, and yeah.